Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello, friends. In this opportunity, I'd like to talk about our first material concerning about the foundation or talking about the notion of discourse analysis, the basic notion of discourse analysis. All right, friends. Talking about discourse analysis, if we compare with the linguistics area that we have learned before, we got linguistic as the common parts and then continue to phonetics and then go on to phonology, go on to morphology, and up to pragmatic parts. Okay, from that points, we have arrived at the area of what we are going to see. It is not just what we are talking about, but it is beyond something that beyond our language. That must be beyond our language. Why we call that one? Because it is not exactly what we can see, and then it is not exactly what we can listen, because there must be something behind it. That's why we call this as the study beyond the language. All right. Now, friends, if we're talking about discourse in Bahasa Indonesia, that is wacana, all right? But then it is not the same as wacana that appear in our mind. Just like it's just wacana, there is not truth, and it is just planning. But no, discourse right here is about the dialogue that might appear in our brain. Sometimes we can find that there's a process when we see something, when you hear something, and then they might critical area in your brain. They might think about the process, why, and then how, and something. It means that there is a process of discourse that might appear, and then particularly when you are dealing with the conversation, it is also a discourse. All right, so discourse is not limited only by its communication in terms of two ways communication, but one way communication is as well. For example, when you got some kinds of banner, or when you get some flyer, and then there is a part of one-way communication that you can digest and you can analyze, and uh, that is categorized as discourse data. All right, friends, let's get a move. Okay. When we're talking about what is discourse analysis based on its level or stages, okay, we got discourse as the study beyond language, and then we have sounds as the basic linguistic parts, and then go on to the word structure in a morphology, and then go on to words, and then go up again to the sentence structure, and then go on to the discourse. In discourse area, we are not talking about the linguistic form existed on the text, all right? There must be something behind the text that you listen, the text that you see. All right. So what is that for, by the way, friends? It is examining how language functions and how meaning is created in different social contexts. Why we need to focus on that? Because it is really, really what we call authentic, and it is really what we call this. It is really a difference from one to another. Um, Identical. Why? Because it has in every single text that you may find, and then the glasses or the perspective that you use in analyzing that kinds of data, it creates a very specifically differently authentic. Why? Because in every single conversation, in every single text, that might there might be many aspects, okay, supporting the meaning or the intention behind the text. All right, so we need to focus on the social context. But then, friends, the thing that you have to remember, discourse analysis is not a method. Okay, discourse analysis is the area of analysis. When we are talking about the area of analysis, it means that when you are asking about what kinds of analysis that you are going to focus on, let's say I'm going to analyze the teaching methodology. But then for this part, you may say, what are you going to analyze? I'm going to analyze the discourse. Okay. So this is the area of analysis that you can cultivate, friends. Okay. As if that you are a farmer and then you got a heartland. The heartland is a discourse that you are going to analyze, right? But then the tools that you are going to use, it depends. Okay. It depends. It is depended on, it is dependent on what is the characteristic of the data that you are going to analyze, and then what is the tools that you think it is the sharp tool or the proper tool or instrument to be used or to use. For example, the instrument that we are going to use in this area is the tools or the theory from phonetics up to the pragmatics area. All right, friends. Now let's get moved to the example. All right. We have a written form by Senfield in 1993. Look at the first paragraph right here. There's two types of waiver, the big waiver and the small waiver. You can measure the size of the favor by the pause that the person takes after they ask you to do me a favor. Small favor, small pause. Okay, remember, small favor, small pause. And then when you got somebody say to you, can you do me a favor, hand me that pencil? There's no pause, okay? There's no pause at all, and it is easy to deliver because of what? Because it is just small issue, right? What is the issue right here? The small issue right here is just hand me that pencil. There is somebody who couldn't get the pencil by himself, right? So he need some favor from his friend. That's why he just say, can you do me a favor, hand me that pencil? And then it is easy to deliver because it is small issue. All right, now let's compare. There is a big favor, okay? When you face a big favor, it means that there is a process of managing your tempo, managing your terms to be used. What else? The intonation as well. For example, when you are going to ask somebody to do something, for example, um, excuse me, um, could you please could you do please could you do me a favor for lend me some money? Okay, so it is a big deal, so that's why yeah, there are many considerations that you are going to that you face, right? That's why you pick some kinds of good terms or the proper terms in delivering that kinds of information, or yeah, delivering the information that you are going to say um with carefully. Okay. Why you need to think about that? It means that there is a process of the speaker which might uh which the speaker doesn't want to, what we call this, break the face of the interlocutor. Um to yeah, just like to make the interlocutor to be to to be okay when they got the kinds of information. It means that this information, when it is delivered to the interlocutor, will not create a bad condition or bad communication. That's why when you got a big deal, there must be a tempo, there must be so many pauses, there must be yeah, so many pauses in so many consideration as well, and then so many consideration, in terms of selecting the terms or the words that you are going to deliver. All right. Okay, friends, when you got a small favor, it means that it is easy to deliver, but then when you got a big favor, yeah, you have to be careful with that. Okay, from here we got some points. Okay, This is the simple example of discourse analysis. But what is actually the tools that we were used just now? we were the tools that we used just now is using, what was that? It is only about tempo, intonation, all right, and something. So the focus is about pronunciation. Okay, it means that when you are dealing with the discourse analysis, you may use the pronunciation, okay, as the tool in analyzing that discourse. By having that kinds of tool, okay, by analyzing using pronunciation, you may digest which waiver is this? Okay, is that about big waiver or small waiver? Right? Okay. Now let's get a move to the second paragraph that we have right here. Humans are the only species that do waiver. Okay, that do waivers. Animals don't do waivers. A lizard doesn't go up to a cockroach and say, let's imagine there's a lizard, jump up onto the cockroach, and then the lizard say, cockroach, could you do me a favor and hold still? I'd like to eat you alive. It seems so very funny because of what? Because it is about life. But then how good you are, okay? By saying that kinds of information to somebody that you are going to kill. Okay, that you are going to kill. That's right. So that's a big favor even with no pause. But this is the comparison between the human communication and the animals communication perhaps, but I'm not really sure with that. But the points right here is discourse analysis, okay, is just the area of analysis, and then the tools are coming from the theory that you got studied from the phonetics or the pronunciation up to the pragmatics part. All right. Okay, friends, now let's get a move to the next part. Okay, now if we compare um, the four almost similar expression but different word choices. All right, excuse me, what's context? Okay, the second one, would you like to explain me what the context is? And then explain the context, please. Right? And then the last, what context? Okay, which one do you think the most polite expression to deliver? If we look at the composition, that must be number one and number two are better than number three and number four, right? But in terms of communication, we can say that the what is that in terms of discourse, or we couldn't measure that number one and number two are more polite compared to number three and number four. Why? Because it depends, right? It is dependent on the context. Okay, sometimes when we are talking about the context or global context, number one and number two are correct. Okay, the polite. But then if we talk about the different contexts, just like from teacher to the students, I think it is not proper anymore when the teacher using number two, for example. Would you like to explain me what the context is? Okay, I think that that is not proper. But then what about number three? Explain the context, please. It is the proper one when we got the context of the teacher to the students, right? So it means that the directive instruction is better rather than asking. Okay, just like, excuse me, what's context? Okay, it is better to use by the lecturer or by the teacher to the student. Okay, by giving the directive instruction. Explain the context, please. For example, John, explain the context, please. And then it is go on with the response by the students. Okay, so you cannot measure it directly, okay, without looking at the context. It means that you need to be aware of context. All right. Okay, Okay, friends. Now we get this. Based on Jorgensen and Phillips in 2005, who we are and what we are doing, where we are doing it, and what has already been said and done, as well as the knowledge and assumption that we assume we share with those with whom we are communicating, are all parts of context. Okay, please remember. It means that when we are focusing on analyzing the discourse, it means that you need to cover the context. You need to consider the context. You need to consider the context. Well, firstly, who is the speaker? Who is the interlocutor? What is the idea? Okay, and then when and where, right? When and where. At least you get five contexts that you need to you need to consider when you are dealing with the analysis of the discourse. It means that when you are going to find the intention or the right interpretation, you need to consider the five specification of context. What are they? The first one is who is the speaker, who is our interlocutor, and then what is the idea, when and where. All right, please don't forget. All right, now listen, as a discourse analyst, you cannot measure what people saying to you directly. Okay, you need to take your time and then think about the context. Okay, for example, you got somebody get angry to you, and then the things that you have to do is just think critically about what is happening actually. Okay, what is the meaning beyond the anger? All right, so you need to take the time. Okay, you cannot measure it directly, so you need the time to take who is the speaker, who is the interlocutor, what is the idea, where and when, until you can get the meaning behind that kinds of anger. All right, so at the end you can measure you can give some kinds of conclusion that his anger is good for me, or his anger is not good for me, or something. So so that you can make some kinds of right response, the correct response, or the proper response when you are having a communication. All right, that is the simple thing as the opening for discourse analysis subject matter. Thank you so much for having me. Hope you got some kinds of motivation with me, guys, when you are having this kinds of subject matter, because there'll be a lot of um a lot of materials that you are going to face. Yeah, so many races to go, friends. So thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you and bye.